Good evening, friends. Today the market has been really bad actually, and the reasons why market is really tanked. Today we saw small cap index tanking by 2%. Despite so much positive that is happening in the market is dictated by what's happening outside India, and that's really impacting the market sentiment. And the red ink, it seems to be across the board. It's not that it's relating to SLU. So even though the market does not look very bad, if you look at from 1 year perspective, and when you look at the advanced decline ratio for 1 year, whether it's a Nifty 50, Nifty 500, mid cap, small cap, it does gives a not so very great picture. If you look at your own portfolio last 1 year, probability is very high that you would not have made money. Unfortunately, people don't look at it, but the reality is that a lot of mutual fund schemes are in negative. It's extremely difficult market, to be very honest with you. What I'm going to do today is that I'm going to discuss some of the key aspects. At the same time, we keep getting a lot of questions on the gold and silver. Should you at all invest? And if yes, how much? I'm going to discuss that too. And of course, as I was explaining about the advanced decline ratio, what's happening and so on and so forth, and the factors impacting the market. And post that, we will open the floor for question and answer. So before I begin this webinar, happy Navratri to everyone. I know the Navratri Parva is on. I hope you are having a great time playing Garba, Dandiya, and those who are from the eastern side of the country, that's Kolkata and so, having a nice preparation for the Durga Puja. A disclaimer, okay, this webinar is just to enhance your understanding about the equity market. Please consult your financial advisor before buying and selling any stock. Investment in securities market are subject to market risk, and past performance is no indicator of future returns. Now, we all know that, yesterday I was doing a webinar with our PMS customer. And that time I give it information to what percentage of revenue of the Indian pharmaceutical company comes from the US, without realizing that I will do the webinar at 7 and couple of hours later Trump would announce this. And it seemed that Trump was listening to this webinar kind of stuff. Now, Trump has announced 100% tariff on the pharma imports into the US. The point I wish to convey here is that this is coming from 1st October only on the branded and patented pharmaceutical. I again repeat, it is branded and patented. That's what they clearly mention without any ambiguity. Am I right? Unless the company is building their pharmaceutical manufacturing plant in America. So if someone is actually started doing also, they would be exempted from this 100% tariff. Okay, is building is defined as breaking ground or under construction. There will be therefore no tariff on these pharmaceutical products if construction is started. That's what Trump has said. My worry is this. If you know, last weekend, IT companies came under fire purely because of H-1B visa, $1 lakh. First it was announced per annum, and then it's one time. And then there was a lot of confusion whether it's applicable to the people, those who are already been given, have H-1B visa, those who want to renew or not. All confusion. It's very difficult to make a conclusion. If this has not come today on generics, will it not come in future? No one knows for sure. Why? Because we are all living, and this will come from 1st October. So try to understand. It's less than a 1 week kind of a stuff. Why? Because because 1st October is next Wednesday. He's announcing on Thursday this kind of stuff. So I think the Trump is becoming more and more bold. He's doing more and more stuff which is not expected. Why it's not expected? Well, he did mention about the pharma in the past, if you remember that. But you also mentioned that 50% tariff on kitchen cabinets and bathroom vanities, 30% tariff on upholstered furniture, and 25% levies on heavy trucks. Again, this will come from 1st October. I don't know where I discussed that the sanctity of this tariff that Trump it's gone to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court admitted, and most probably we get the verdict somewhere by between December to May 2026. Even this we don't know whether this will hold the ground in the court of law. But today it's definitely spoiling the sentiment. We all know that one of the Fed members, the Trump wants to sack, and every living Fed chairman has gone in favor of the lady to whom the president wants to sack. So I think somewhere the legal aspects are all we need to wait and watch what's happening. The matter is going to the Supreme Court, and again that matter we need to wait and watch. But today this is coming a big problem. Not only the Indian equity market has fallen last 3 days, even US market has continuously fallen. I don't know what is the market today, but let's see what happens. What's the market today? But things are little difficult. It's becoming more. It's up as we speak. The US market is up. So, and as an investor, as a fund manager, how do you plan? Nothing you can plan, because you don't know where the bouncer is going to come from, which direction the bouncer is going to come, and what would be the velocity of that bouncer. The speed of that bouncer, no one knows. 100% tariff on branded and patent, it's too high. 50% on kitchen cabinet is too high. 20, 30. So, and this is, my understanding is over and above already been there. So it practically makes impossible. Now, who is going to pay this? The consumer is going to pay. To some extent, importers and the retailers have absorbed some of this import tariff. And how long they will going to absorb this? Someday they will have to pass on. When they pass on, the inflation will go up. And if inflation goes up, it creates a more problem. Just for your information, what we have done actually, we have looked at India's leading pharmaceutical company. What percentage of revenue comes from the US exports? They may have remember when I say Natco Pharma, Zydus and so on and so forth, some company may have some business in the US itself. They may have a plant also, they may be financial. That business will not come under pressure. So this is just for the information. Don't draw any conclusion on that. For example, Natco Pharma is 62%, Zydus is 47%, Aurobindo 47.3 comes from US, Biocon 46, and so on and so forth. But look at the fall. I know today's fall in the market. Natco is fallen by 2.6, only 2.6, despite 62% revenue come from US. While Zydus has fallen by 4.3, 47. The Aurobindo has only little less than what Zydus is, but marginally 4.6. So even though they are not impacted, but yet this has been there. The maximum fall has happened with Biocon, which is down by 4.8%. 46.8%. So this is the domestic revenue, non-US exports and US exports. And if you total all three, it would be 100%. So this is, and of course, Ipca and Torrent Pharma, despite Pharma was under pressure, they close in the green. Again, I repeat, it is only on the branded and patented. In India, most of the, except Sun Pharma, most of the businesses are generics. And I don't think any major impact, but market don't know if this is today, this has come, tomorrow something can come. Market is also not very sure that $1 lakh, that H1B visa, will it get revised and can it become annual? Can it also become on renewal? No one knows. So I think this is the uncertainty that we need to live as long as Trump is there. It's very difficult to read his mind. So we need to wait and watch. Now, one question that comes to mind, because today, in last 1 week, two sectors have come under heavy pressure. One was IT because of H1B visa. Second thing, pharma. Now, when we look at this data as of 31st August, we have taken from Nifty, NSEindices.com. If you look at this, the IT has 10.5% weightage. And if you look at the healthcare, 3.75%. In total, they have 14.25. So, something has to terribly go wrong with IT and pharma. I don't think it's going to make a lot of what we call difference to the Nifty 50. But what is happening along with Nifty 50, along with IT and pharma, other sectors are also coming under pressure. And unfortunately, financial service, which is 37% of the weightage, is not contributing enough to counterbalance the fall in the market. This is just an information I thought I'll share with you so that you can get an idea if IT and pharma continues to remain under pressure, what impact it could have on the Nifty 50. Surprisingly, the US economy is showing strength. Why? Because yesterday, the growth rate in the second quarter of US economy grew at annual rate of 3.8%. Significantly higher than 3.3% reported in the Commerce Department second estimate. So that means US economy is showing strength. Now that's a big dilemma for the Fed chairman. Should you cut the rate if the economic showing strength? If inflation is likely to go up? And I think that's a one question that the market is trying to grapple with. So sometimes we don't know whether this news is good news or this news is bad news for the market. Why? If the US economy grows strongly, there is a less probability that Fed will do another rate cut. There are two more FOMC meetings lined up before 2025 comes to an end. Why? One is lined up next month, that's in the month of October, and another one is lined up in the month of December. So if you look at it, the house is divided. Till 2 days back, there was a 92% probability that we will see 25 bips rate cut. That probability has become now 86% today. So it has come down purely because of the strong GDP number. So while even though the consensus as we speak continues to believe that there is another rate cut, I don't think it's a given thing. 29th October is still 1 month, almost 33 days away from now. And there could be a strong possibility that we may not see any rate cut. Now, if there is no rate cut, what happens? If there is no rate cut, the market may start going down. Of course, the US is looking very expensive. We discussed that a couple of times. And even Jerome Powell made a very statement very recently that US market looks to be fairly highly valued. So there are concerns. Rate of interest is not a given thing. It may not. We may not see a rate cut only, and if that happens, that will be a little surprise. So don't expect one more rate cut. So right now, the U.S. market seems to be budgeting for 2 more rate cuts. One in the month of October, that is 29th October, 25 bips rate cut, and another in the month of December. Gold and silver. I think that has become a new theme in the market. सबको गोल्ड और सिल्वर में इन्वेस्ट करना है. And why is that so? Because gold and silver did extremely well. If you look at this data, which I have compiled from 2006 to 2025, 2025 is YTD. 30% jump in the month of 2024 in gold. On back of that 30%, we saw another 41% growth in the gold prices. Silver, which moved up by 25%, has gone up by another 50%. तो जिसने भी 2 साल में गोल्ड और सिल्वर लिया है, वो बोलते हैं ना चांदी चांदी है, कि सोना ही सोना है, वो हुआ है. Now there is a lot of fear of FOMO. Gold is going up, silver is going up. So if you don't invest, are we going to miss out the good golden opportunity in the market? And if you look at some of the predictions are continuing to believe that gold will further go up, silver will further go up. So what is to do? Because this recency bias is coming in. Now there is a myth in the market. What is the myth? That gold and silver always give returns. I want to break that myth. And with the hard facts, data, no gut feeling, no assumptions. In fact, I want you to put down one more thing. You may have a writing pad and pen, you may have a laptop, you may have a computer, you may have your mobile phone. Please put down what is the CAGR gold and silver has given in last 20 years. Likh lo. Because I'm going to showcase the numbers also. Now remember, gold and silver are a assets class that behaves like any other assets class, like real estate or equity. They do have their own boom and bust cycle. And let's look at this way. From 1990 to 2003, कितना साल हो गया? 14 साल. अगर आपने गोल्ड में इन्वेस्ट किया होता 14 साल, फ्रॉम पॉइंट टू पॉइंट 1990 से 2003 तक, व्हाट रिटर्न गोल्ड गेव? 0. 1 रुपया नहीं दिया आपको गोल्ड ने. In 1990 to 2003, Indian equity market would have done extremely well. Why? Because Harsat Mehta boom and bust happened. We were at 1000, and by 2003 it would have been near about 3000 or so, if my memory serves me right. But what are the numbers? The point is that the 14 साल में कोई assets class ने zero return दिया. अगर इक्विटी में ये हो जाता तो आप लोग तो हल्ला मचा देते थे. And our memories are short. We don't remember. When I tell you, sometimes you will also think this data may be wrong. और ऐसा तो हुआ ही नहीं है. But the reality this has happened. And what is the drawdown? 40%. 40% वो ऊपर से नीचे गया हुआ है उसी पीरियड में. But yet, our perception is that gold and silver always gives money to the investors. Not necessarily. 14 साल में आदमी फ्रस्ट्रेट हो जाता है, जवान आदमी बूढ़ा हो जाता है, और बच्चा जवान हो जाता है 14 साल में तो, and give 0% return. It will clearly test your patience, but we still love for gold. But that's not the only thing. As recently as 2012 to 2019, just before the COVID, कितना साल हुआ? 8 साल. And point-to-point returns of 8 years of gold is -4%. तो पैसा तो छोड़ो, पैसा गया घर से आपका, बना तो छोड़ो, पैसा गया घर से, with the drawdown of 41%. So why am I telling you this? Am I dissuading you from investing in gold and silver? No, I am not doing that. What I want to give you is the reality picture. Because when I talk to some investors, they said, हमको गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर 50% लेके जाना है, हमको इक्विटी से एलोकेशन कम करना है. भाई क्यों? बिकॉज गोल्ड और सिल्वर चला है, इक्विटी चला नहीं है, तो फिर हम लोग क्यों इक्विटी में रहे? वाई शुड वी नॉट इन्वेस्ट इन गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर? नाउ आई एग्री, गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर डिड हैज हिज ओन बुल रन ऑल्सो, लाइक 2004 to 2011. The gold did extremely well. 8 साल in a row, point-to-point returns of 267%. And the drawdown, of course, even during that period, we had a drawdown of 27%. The same way, 2020 to present, that is about 6 years, the gold has moved up by 149% and has given a maximum drawdown of 19%. So the gold has a bull phase also, and the gold has a bearish phase also. But when I combine gold, good and bad phase, I had asked you to put down the numbers 20 years come. The gold given 10.4% CAGR, silver gave 8.2% CAGR. Now, if I removed 2024 and 2025, then this return would have been further come down. But I'm not doing that because I don't do data shopping. Including 2024 and 2025, the gold gave 10.4 and 8.2. During the same period, despite equity market did not give any money, in last 1 year, the Nifty 500 would have given 12% return and Nifty 50 11.6. Okay, what is the limited point I wish to convey now? I don't want to confuse you, I'm sorry. The limited point I want to convey to you is that gold and silver are a part of your assets allocation strategy. Do not go about 10 to 15% of your total net worth. And total net worth does not include the house which you are staying in, because that is for the self-consumption. The same way the gold jewelry that you consume, you or your wife or anyone else, is only for the self-consumption. Am I right? That's not a part of your net worth. Uske baad, the car that you may be using is not a part of your net worth. So usko nikal ke your exposure should be 10 to 15. Now there are some investors who don't have any exposure to gold and silver. What is my advice to them? Please invest in gold and silver, but in a SIP form. Maybe you can buy through ETF, but don't buy lump sum. People assume that gold and silver has given this kind of return of 2020, 2025 ka, okay, this way, 30%, 41% gold and 25%, 50%. Will that get repeated next 2 years? Answer is no. Do not listen to the people saying that gold will touch so and so price and so and so forth and silver will touch so and so forth. They may be right. Probably they being right is very low. The risk reward is very, very low of gold making it. Silver can still go up further, but not too much in the gold. So my request to all of you, don't be naive. That's why I'm suggesting what we call buy through the SIP. For some reason, because equity did not do well, gold and silver did well, and if you had taken exposure by virtue of mark to market, your exposure gone beyond 15%, it may not be a bad idea to trim down your exposure to the gold and silver and use that proceed into the equity market. So these are the hard facts data I want to put in front of you so you get a perspective right. Just to give you some color on where would the Indian household savings are. Property is definitely 51.3%. The gold is second highest, 15.2%. And because of equity did not do well, gold did well, this number would have crossed that 10 to 15%, which I keep saying time and again to you, would have gone up. Maybe it's a time to do time corrections. In shift from gold to equity, which was 5.8. Cash is 3%, pension and provident fund is 5.7%, insurance is 5.7%, and bank deposits at 13.3%. That's India's household saving as of March 2024. I don't have a data for March 2025, but I don't expect too much change in terms of the percentage. There would be few decimal here and there. So this is what the scenario is. While the gold is going up, the US market is going up, the secondary market sentiments are very pathetic, but the IPO market is very, very good. Normally I've observed if the secondary market is good, primary market would be good. But यहाँ पे तो बजी पड़ी हुई है. एक last 1 year में market has not gone nowhere. In fact, it's negative returns. But IPO market is buzzing. ऐसा बजिंग हो रहा है कि ऐसा लगता है कि एक एक दिन में तो वी गेट दिस एनालिस्ट मीट इन्विटेशन. एक दिन में 3 एनालिस्ट हो रही है. एंड द फनी पार्ट कि एक ही लोकेशन पे 4 से 5 एक, 5 से 6 एक, 6 से 7 एक. That kind of thing are happening. So what has happened till now? So this is the data. What you see in the bracket is the previous year, but that's for the full calendar year. 91 IPOs it came main board में. Till now 74. 1,59,000, 1.6 lakh crore was raised last year. Till now 85,000 crore. And average size, which was 1755 last year, is come down to about 1152. And of course there is an SME. SME IPO, I can tell you, there is a big bubble being formed. And this bubble can burst anytime. So there's some interesting data today I thought I'll share with you. You know, we get carried away कि कितना IPO कितना oversubscribe हुआ है. Very obvious, when oversubscribed, you don't get the allotment. If you don't get the allotment and if you buy on the listing, then what happens with that overhype IPO? And I'm going to give you the data both for main board and for the SME. You know, yesterday Mint did a story and the person who wrote the story interviewed BAC, MD, CEO. And he also shown concerns with the what's happening in the SME segment. So let's look at first this one. Most hype IPO, Quadrant Future Tech, 290 crore IPO size, retail portion subscribed 257 times. What happened to that company? On the listing day, it was only 29%. Okay, but look at the company like Regard Resources, which got oversubscribed only 26 times in retail port, but gone up by 39% listing gain. That's the only funny thing, because sometimes, you know, retail investors buy now oversubscribed, the company has to be really good. Let me buy, since I did not get an allotment in IPO, let me buy that. Had you bought this company, the gain is only 7%. But if you see some of the most retail, highest subscribed by retail investors, look at the returns post-listing gain. Bodana Waves 11% down, Dev Accelerators 14% down, Highway Infrastructure minus 30%, Denta Water and Lakshmi Dental 40% down, Regal Resources 37% down. So not necessarily कि आप जो IPO आपको नहीं मिला है, you go and chase this. And ऐसा भी नहीं है कि like Dev Accelerator 161 times oversubscribed, listing gain 0, the script post listing is down by 14%. So ये जो आप लोग करते हो ना कि कितना टाइम oversubscribe है, let me because नहीं मिला तो चलो मैं IPO के post IPO ले लूँगा. Don't do this. Probability very high that you may not make money. That's not only true with the main board, it's also very similar with the SME. 1069 times oversubscribe हुआ था SQL. Listing में 37% gain मिला, which is not so great to be honest with you, but then 19%. If you see those who have oversubscribed more than 300 times, post listing, what is the halat inki? Almost 7s are in red, only 3 are in green. So that gives you an idea. So my request to all of you, be diligent, be careful of what you are getting into. Otherwise, there is a problem of this one. So, and when I look at the quality of IPOs, I'm a little surprised the merchant bankers' ability to convince the promoters and promoters' greed. First thing, the quality of the companies that are coming out with an IPO are very, very poor. Number one. Number two, the pricing that they are asking and yet oversubscribed is really, I think everyone is thinking कि कोई बेवकूफ मुझसे लेके जाएगा shares, let me apply, I'll be able to sell at the listing gain or maybe post listing gain and someone else full will buy. In fact, I don't have it so much time, but if time permits, I would love to do a analysis on the company that came out 2 years back with an IPO, both on main board and SME. What are their financial growth? Have they grown the top line and the bottom line? In many cases, I'm just my gut feeling. I've not done any analysis, but there would be poor financials of that. Also, I want to understand how many number of investors are there on these IPOs. IPO के time कितने थे number of investors, total investors, और अब कितने हैं? In many cases, it would have come down substantially. But anyway, I'll do some analysis some other day. Today, I'll not. This is another risk which people are not talking about. And one reason today market came down. Also, Russia is playing a little funny. It's trying to test the patience of NATO countries. Why is that so? And today the security meeting is happening and would have already started of the European this one. On 9 September, Russian drone crossed the Poland sky. 10 days later, that is on 19 September, 3 MiG-31 fighter jets entered the Estonia for 12 minutes. Somewhere, now the complete NATO is in a dilemma. Should we attack and bring down the aircraft to the ground, or should we not? If we do it, Russia can attack NATO countries. And if we don't do it, Russia will get more courage to keep doing that. So again, that element is playing on the market sentiment. People don't talk too much about it, but yes, that's the reality. It is also, so we don't know how far it can escalate further. Trump has given warning time and again that he will further increase tariff on those who are buying goods and services from the Russia. Will he walk the talk? Will he do that? We don't know. And if suppose the situation do go out of hand between NATO and Russia, then what happens? Are we looking at more severe kind of a war scenario? That's also playing in the mind of the investors. Very quickly before I open the floor for question answer, monsoon has been quite almost we are at the fag end of a season. Normally monsoon ends by 30th September. So next 1 week may this southwest monsoon season will get over. The Kharif crops coverage has been very fairly stable, 1.4% only up. Don't expect too much robust growth in the food grain production, but nonetheless it will be better than what it was there last year. I've been informed that a lot of crop got damaged in the northern part of the country. We need to wait and watch exact what has happened there. Even in Maharashtra, I've been informed a lot of crop damage has happened. The market has been down this week, down and out. In fact, if I have to say, not a single index is in the green. Index like Nifty IT is down by 7-8%, almost in 1 week. Realty index is down by 6%. Nifty Pharma 5.2. Mid and small cap came under heavy selling pressure 4.52 and 4.29. And Sensex and Nifty are almost down by more than 2.5%. The best performing, it is still negative, is in Nifty Metal followed by CPSE. So situation looks not so rosy in last 1 week. YTD returns are muted. Why? Because Nifty is up by just 4%. The Sensex up by 3%. IT index is down by 23% in 1 month. In 9 months. Substantial fall. The last year blue-eyed boy was relative index. It's down by 18% despite RBI doing rate cuts. Why 100 bips rate cut? Because why rate cuts are better for the relative index. But बोलता ना कभी कभी लॉजिक नहीं चलता है मार्केट में. And Nifty Pharma is down by 8%. What I did first half versus second half. And look at the contrast that you can see. Why? Because Nifty Auto was not the best performing sector in first half. But today it is the best performing sector. Why? Up by 10.94% the first 3 months of the second half. Total return is 15.99. Nifty Metal was green, little muted, but still 14.32. Nifty PSU again green in the first, second green in this. But then you don't see that trend except MNC and Nifty consumption. Otherwise, those who close in the green are basically given up some gains in the second half. And that's the story. So not necessarily what will work in the first half will work in the second half. Jaruri nahi hai. But there is one thing which has happened, which has consistently happened. The IT was in the red and is in the green and in the red in the second half. Again, topmost underperformer in the first and second half. Something similar with the realty also, which has happened. So that's where the only trend is. Otherwise, as we keep saying, sector rotation keeps happening, and that's what we have seen that. Advanced decline ratio in last 1 year. And look at the data. In BSE 500, half of the market, that means for every two shares decline, there's only one company advance kind of a stuff. So 33% kind of a numbers is there. Basically, this advance decline ratio should have been, I think there's a formula error there, but nonetheless. So you look at it, 2/3 of the market is in red in BSE 500. And that shows how difficult it's been for the investors to make in this money in this kind of a market. FPI continued to sell in India 13,450 crore till now in September, and I don't know when they will now come back. I was been really optimistic that second half FPI will come back very strongly, but right now data is telling me that most probably my prediction of FPI coming back very strongly in second half will go wrong. But anyway, no one can be right 100% of the time. With this, let's open the floor for question answer. Bharat sir is saying your webinars are very important for most of the investors. Thank you, sir. Kindly notify about this planning at least one day in advance to enable us to plan our schedule accordingly. So Bharat bhai, to the best of my knowledge, this was we announced कल ही सुबह कर दिया था, right? 2-3 दिन हो गया sir. Bharat bhai, this was announced 2-3 days in advance. So again, I'm telling you in advance now. On Wednesday, I'm in front of you with equity outlook at 7 p.m. on 1st October. So Bharat bhai, see normally when there is no clarity, you normally don't announce. But otherwise, so on Wednesday I'm there in front of you on 1st October. So sir, we try to announce in advance. Sometime if something happens and someone was supposed to do webinar, cannot do it, then I may come in and do the webinar. That's a different story. But normally we give sufficient notice to our customers about webinars. So sir, webinar point noted. Wednesday again I'm in front of you with equity outlook. वो डाल दिए 1st October का? नहीं डाला नहीं होगा because I have to give the content. Sorry, I have not given the content. But 1st October I'm in front of you. Amitabh Nath, I will request your views on how the market may be by Diwali time and by year end. So Amitabh sir, I'm extremely bullish on the market. And again repeat what I've stated almost 1 month back. The sentiments of the market by Diwali would be very, very different. Right now doesn't give any hint because today look at what happened in the market. Almost mini carnage. So I'm optimistic. Why? Because there are strong domestic factors that makes me believe that India should do extremely well. The only request to all of you is that please focus on domestic focus company. ट्रम्प बाबा क्या करेगा, कब करेगा, किसको हैंडल नहीं है. And you look at one of the worst performing sectors are those who have lot of dependency on the US market, whether it's an IT, whether it's in pharma. So, but if you look at the domestic theme, I think they should do reasonably well. So my view on the market by Diwali is very bullish, even by year end also very bullish. But within that, I would love to have domestic focus company. I would still avoid companies which are getting their revenue from the export market, especially from the US, because you never know when that bouncer can come and can hit you very badly. So very bullish by Diwali, by year end, but with domestic focus. Mubasil sir is saying, नमस्कार, FI एग्रेसिवली सेल कर रहे हैं. FI और DI का मार्केट शेयर हिस्टोरिकल अनबैलेंस हो रहा है. क्या ये ठीक है? सर ठीक है कि नहीं है वो तो बहुत डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है मुबासिल सर. बट हकीकत ये है, आपके ऑब्जर्वेशन बहुत सही है कि FI बेच रहा है. लेफ्ट राइट एंड सेंटर उनका जो होल्डिंग है इंडियन मार्केट में काफ़ी कम हो गया है. बट DI का बढ़ रहा है बिकॉज आप और हम उनको पैसा दे रहे हैं, तो उनका वो ले रहे हैं मार्केट में. ठीक है कि नहीं ठीक है? देखो, FI का लव स्टोरी और हेड स्टोरी कोई परमानेंट नहीं होता है. वो आज गया है, कल वापस आ भी सकेगा, और जब भी वो आएंगे स्ट्रॉन्ग में, वो ऊपर के भाव में आके लेके जाएंगे आपसे. तो ये ठीक तो नहीं हो रहा है मेरे ख्याल से, बट ये थोड़ा टेम्पररी माहौल है, वो कोई परमानेंट माहौल नहीं है. एफआई का किया अदर कंट्री में भी सेलिंग है, कृपया बताइए। नहीं सर, जैसे अगर आप देखोगे तो हमारा चाइना में एफआई का होल्डिंग बढ़ा है। अगर आप देखोगे ग्लोबल इमर्जिंग मार्केट जो इंडेक्स है उसमें भी चाइना का वेटेज बढ़ा है। तो वो क्या है, जब चाइना का वेटेज बढ़ा है तो वो उनमें पैसा डाल रहे हैं। तो ज़रूरी नहीं है कि उन्होंने यहाँ से बेचा है तो सब अदर मार्केट से बेच है। ऑन द कॉन्ट्री वो चाइना में पैसा डाल रहे हैं, हिंदुस्तान की मार्केट से पैसा निकाल रहे हैं मुबासिल सर। गोपाल कृष्णा सर, are defense, railway and capital goods sector still good for long term holding? Please explain how. Thank you very much. So Gopala Krishna sir, I think defense still looks pretty promising for the very simple reason we are living with a very uncertain time. Every country, forget about India, every country will have to increase their defense expenditure. We know what is happening between NATO and Russia. We have a very unfriendly neighbors on both the side of the India's geographical border. So, and we all know that how government of India is also giving more and more defense orders. So outlook on the defense sector looks very promising. Within that, be careful because some companies are commanding a rich valuation, so the margin for error is very low. But overall defense looks promising. Railway, I'm not so sure. And capital goods, again, I believe it should do well. I think government of India to counter the US tariff will spend more than what is required on infra, because government of India can't afford to have high unemployment, low GDP growth, because it can also bring in social unrest. So they will go all out on giving more infra projects and so to counterbalance the tariff impact. And hence I'm extremely bullish on that also. So if you look at today, one of the best performing company within Nifty 50 was from capital goods only. So again, it's a more domestic theme story. Of course, there are some companies, because today I met one PMS customer who's from Saudi, and he said L&T has a big projects in Saudi. So when I said capital goods are more domestic story, it is not US story based story. It's not dependent on US, and hence probability is very high they should do well. And second thing, the raw material costs are very benign for the capital goods related sector, so that should also benefit them. So defense yes, railway selective, and capital goods yes. Rao sir saying, do we see any conspiracy in FII selling political reasons rather than the commercial reason to pressurize Indian government? So sir, I must tell you that there is a clear-cut attempt to corner India, and I'll give you why. You know what happened with Chabad port. We know what happened with Saudi and Pakistan defense pact, aggression on one country would be considered as aggression on both the countries kind of stuff. Then tariff, H1B visa, yesterday on the pharmaceutical and so on and so forth. So there is a lot of pressure on India to succumb to the Trump tantrum. How long India can sustain, or do they succumb to it? We need to wait and watch. Do I see a conspiracy? Whatever the information I have till now, I don't see any conspiracy. I think FPI we have seen in many markets this is happening. So I don't see any political reason why FPI is selling. There is no conspiracy, I didn't think. It's more purely because of commercial reasons, because Indian earnings was not there last financial year. They will come back, but because they will see the valuation, they will see the India's growth story, and they will definitely come back. It's just a matter of time when they come back. So I don't see any, to the best of my understanding, I don't see any conspiracy here at this. And I don't want to believe that there is a conspiracy also, because there are no enough evidence available to me to come to that conclusions. We will extend Basil because if there are more questions, we'll take up questions. Satish sir, What is your view on the solar sector? Will GST reduction have any impact on solar EPC or manufacturing companies? So, there are certain companies we do own in our PMS also. But overall, sir, my personal opinion, not MarketsMojo opinion, solar as a business is becoming more and more competitive, and वहाँ पे वो क्या बोलते हैं ROE to sustain at the higher level looks extremely difficult. I don't own any solar based company in my personal portfolio. So GST reduction definitely will have an impact, no doubt about it. But is it going to be the sector to watch out for? My answer is no. I would not be very comfortable. Having said that, we do own one solar related company in our PMS. Sagar Parekh, so very long question. I request you to restart future trend analysis webinar as it gives such insights of future sector for investment like you have identified water theme, defense, etc. way before it started. India at the current scenario going for many sectors such as semiconductor, data center, rare earth minerals and many more which you may be aware, and with your guidance as an investor we can get many research themes for future, so in any down cycle we can invest in those themes. I know at the moment you don't have time like before, but if not weekly, at least once a month or at least once a quarter or twice in a year, so that we can get updated, and this webinar will help us. Thank you very much for your continuous guidance. Sagar sir, to be very honest with you, even to come in front of you with QnA with Sunil Damania is a challenge for me, because my schedule, if you look at it, the moment I step into the office and by the time I leave office, is completely jam-packed. In fact, I'll tell you one more thing. Many times Mohit wants to have a meeting with me and I have to say no to him because our meetings are lined up. I'm extremely busy. You need to understand, sir, that when I come in front of you, it's not only 1 hour that I come in front of you. Before I come in front of you, I need to make presentation. I need to do research before I make the presentation. You need to compile data. You need to make data compile and then analyze those data. It takes away a lot of time and energy, sir. If you would have observed my future trend, which I used to do every Friday, we would start the exercise to make presentation on Friday on Monday. And with PMS, which takes away a lot of my time and energy, because there are a lot of compliance related issue and so on. So for example, before 30th September, we need to complete our internal audit report also. Constantly liaising with the auditor, looking at the observation, what are the lacunas that we have, we need to improve on that. Various other things, that we need to do. It takes a lot of time and energy there, sir. So I know, sir, your point is well taken. I think you said that even if not maybe weekly, maybe once a month or maybe once a quarter, maybe I'll look at it, sir. I'm not promising you because it takes away a lot of time and energy. And second thing, I know that if I say something, you are going to put your hard-earned money. And hence it's all the more I have a fiduciary responsibility that whatever I come in front of you, I do thorough research. If I just come in front of you and do something, and if you put your hard-earned money, if it doesn't make money, I will be very unhappy with this. So, but a good point taken, sir. Let me see if I can do it at least once in a quarter, I'll be able to do that. But sir, I must tell you that we do two things in a year. I come in front of you with the sectors that I believe will do well in the month of Jan, first week of Jan itself, in the rest of the year. And in the first week of July, I revisit what I predicted in January and see whether my prediction holds true or I'm changing my view on those sectors. So anyway, I'm doing once in 6 months, but future trend, I'll try to see if I can do it once a quarter. I'll give you one more thing, sir. Yesterday, one meeting was lined up with one of the FMCG companies. I could not attend because one unscheduled meeting came up last week I had 4 meetings lined up with management. Can you believe I attended none? I could not attend only. And that gives a amount of tight schedule that I am running. In fact, a few days I need to carry my laptop home just to work, so that once I have my meal, I work on that. So that's a kind of busy schedule I am running in, sir. But point taken, that's not an excuse I should be giving you, but that's the reality of life. Let's have the next question from Jacob, sir. This depreciation is significantly owing to outflow. Rupee depreciation is significantly owing to outflow. Isn't it looking a bit worrisome? Your thought, please. So, sir, if you look at it, sir, despite so much tariff, so much this one, rupee would have depreciated by 4% or so, which is normal depreciation in any given year. So, is it too much a reason for worry? I don't think so. I think in India, 4 to 5% is a given thing in any given year. So it's not, and this is especially time when there is so much concerns on tariff, there is so much concerns on current account deficit. Why? Because export will take a hit and so on and so forth. But yet it is 4%. So I'm not too much worried about it, sir. No. Suresh sir, if such high tariffs are put, then from where will US import to meet the demand? तो सर उसका तो प्रॉब्लम ये है ना सर, यूएस तो ये सोचता है कि people will be forced to export and consumer will pay the price. That's what the thought process is. And he said, if I collect more revenue in terms of the custom duty, it's good for the economy. So he thinks that people, and which other market which is as big as US will be given alternative to the exporter. So that's the thought process. But Sureshji, somewhere someone has to realize that ultimately US consumer is going to pay the price. That's going to push up the inflation. In other words, I would not be surprised if the US is going to stagflation, which is nothing but low growth, high inflation. And that's the kind of and it's, if you ask me personally, US market is heading for a disaster. The way AI, that's artificial intelligence, there are reports coming in that the return on artificial is it justifiable, not justifiable. It's all debate is happening. One day there will be a tipping point, and that's where it's going to be. That's where I want to see what happens there in the US market. So, but when will the US import to meet the demand? वो मिलता जैसा कंट्री करेगा ना सर. And it's not that only India पे 50%, the other countries it is less. So maybe those countries can import to reduce the impact. I don't think that's a big challenge, Suresh, if you ask me for the US. Mohan sir, just like they did into Iran, US is slowly turning to screws on us. Now US will double fees on Indian students. हो सकता है सर. देखो, जब आदमी ठान लेता है कि भाई मुझे कुछ करना ही है तो करेगा. Only one good thing which is separate us from the Iran is that we have a strong domestic consumption story. India is not dependent on the export but strong domestic. Fortunately, the goat is also in our favor. Why? Because the monsoon has been quite good. So we are self-sufficient in many things like food grains and other things. Inflation is very benign. And government will do whatever it needs to turn to reduce the impact of tariff. So of course they will keep turning screw. Eventually either we succumb or they succumb. You remember the day Russia, China and India met, the head of the state, Trump changed the tune. And he said India is a great friend and so on and so forth. So sometimes attack could be the best defense. And I personally believe that sometimes we need to show our aggression also. Because sometimes कोई आपको दबाना चाहता है, आप दबते रहते हो, तो I think that guy will become more, he will get more encouragement. I think somewhere India now to start to retaliate in some form. And even if that further retaliation happens, so be it. But somewhere we need to show the aggression now. We should not be taking it so lightly now. I think somewhere we have taken punches, too many punches. It's a time to also throw our punches at US. Sarang sir, what is your view on mid and small cap valuation? Even after recent correction, there is a notion that small and mid cap are still a bit overvalued, whereas the large cap is fairly valued. Please cover this aspect, which is strategy should be investors apply to churn their portfolio to get returns in 2026, 2027. Sir, first week of January, I'll come and tell you what should we expect from the large cap, mid cap and small cap. If you go back to my presentation in January 2025, I did mention that don't expect return that was made in 2024 from mid and small cap. And I did mention that large cap will give returns in the single digit. I think I can continue to believe that. And I'll come in front of you, Sarang sir. Okay, what should be the strategy for 2026? This one. In terms of valuation, point taken, what I will do in my next webinar, most probably on Wednesday itself, I'll come with the valuations of mid and small cap. See, within the mid and small cap, some of the companies have really taken a huge beating and they becomes a very, very good story to play on. And I would love to buy them. Okay. And overall, you're right, valuations are not cheap. And especially, so if you look at the numbers for the June quarter that came out, the mid cap did better and the large cap also. So the money will definitely flow to those where the earnings growths are there. So within that, mid cap looks to be more promising as compared to the small cap at this point of time. Small cap results were not so great for June quarter. But what we'll do, I'll give you the historical perspective of what is happening with mid cap and small cap most probably on my Wednesday webinar. Basir, मुझे ये question forward कर देना please. Is it time to become cautious and pessimistic? Everyone is giving targets of 130% upside. Yes, sir. Rahul Kumar, sir. That's exactly what I stated in my presentation also. I also give an idea that how much gold has gone up, and from this level to expect further gain looks little doubtful. And hence, yes, it's time to become turned a little cautious. But as a part of asset allocation strategy, if you are still under allocated, you can still increase to up to 15%. But if you have already gone above 15%, time to trim down on the gold and silver. Rahul Kumar sir, repeat percent will add to the price rise in gold even if it does not move up in the dollar terms. You are right, sir. But वो 3-4% अपना down होता है ना, repeat depreciation. So will that be a substantial gain? Answer is no, because 45% gain हुआ है. It's not only because of rupee depreciating. No, sir, gold price itself has gone up in the international market. So what we will do, Basir, it's already 2:08 now. We'll take last 5 questions. इसके बाद रिंकू सर के बाद का 5 और सवाल लेंगे. Okay. In the last webinar, I said the FI long short ratio in Nifty 50 futures, it was 10% long and 90% short. Despite this, Nifty has risen 1,000 points and FI closed only 5% of the short position. Now they again created short position. Historically, such ratio led to market correction and short covering, but this time they are holding on since last 2 months. Jan 2022, 23rd March 2020, sometime same type of situation was and market gone down. Could you please share your view on this unusual behavior? Humble request, please add this data in your webinar also in the future. So Rinku ji, I don't look at this data on FI long and short. To be very honest, I don't understand much of derivatives also. And these are the data very good to understand what will happen in the short to medium term. I always tell investors, please expand your investment horizon. Because sometimes when you look at the short term data, you miss out on the long term horizon. वो गुरु मूवी था, आपने देखा था, उसमें एक डायलॉग था, अभिषेक बच्चन बोलता है, कभी कभी शॉर्ट टर्म के मुनाफे में कभी लॉन्ग टर्म का घाटा हो जाता है. तो समथिंग वेरी सिमिलर. So when we look at the data, when I look at the market, how do I see the market? I look at more long-term trend. And in that, I don't look at whether FIs are long or short. I don't look at that trend. What I look at it, what could be the growth in corporate earnings? How nominal GDP of growth of this country will happen? What are the policy action government of India is doing? What could be the rate of interest going forward? What kind of liquidity Indian market will have, and so on and so forth. And based on that, and of course the valuation of the market, based on that, I come to the conclusion whether market should go up or go down. So I will not put it. And to be very honest and candid with you, I don't understand this long short ratio of the FI. We have worst performing equity market in last 1 year in the world, while American market has done well. Even other world market did very well. Vatsalya is saying, why such poor performance of Indian equity market? Is it due to poor company performance or expensive Indian market? Your wish. Both poor performance and expensive Indian market. See, you will pay rich valuation only when there is a growth in earnings. When there is no growth in earnings, why should you pay rich valuations? Very simple. So both played its own part in terms of Vasilyaji, the market not doing well in last 1 year. And of course, FPI selling also created some amount of a poor sentiments in the market. Kaushik sir is saying, do you think that so many IPOs coming every week, even in the main board, making more difficult for analysts and investors to choose good shares? Definitely yes. So if you ask me, I don't know how many people attend the analyst meet and this and that, or you go through the prospectus, reading the prospectus. There are very few companies are actually tapping the market. I must be very honest and candid with you. Very few companies are tapping the market. Everyone is thinking that I'll apply, I'll be able to exit at profit, again reinvest that money in another IPO and so on and so forth. So that कहीं ना कहीं वो cycle change होने वाला है. And yes, more the company, you will not be able to spend enough time because the time is limited, am I right? And hence you will compromise on the quality of research that you will do, and that's why it does impact the stock selection. I agree with you, Kaushik sir. Jacob Josh, considering all the domestic and global scenarios, what sectors are you bullish on the near and medium term? Reasons for the same. So Jacob sir, I have said time and again, but again I'll repeat for the benefit of everyone. I still believe the domestic themes should do well. What are the domestic themes? Banks and NBFCs. That is BFSI segment. Consumption. More FMCG and so on and so forth. Cement looks very promising now. The rate cuts have happened. The government will spend more money on infrastructure. So demand for cement consumption should do well. Again, domestic theme. Capital goods and infra. That's another theme. Again, domestic should do well. These are the 4-5 sectors I believe, and these are big sectors. I think they should do well. Vatsalya sir, आप एक ही आदमी के दो बार 3 बार सवाल लोगे तो फिर बाकी लोग को लगेगा कि हमारे सवाल क्यों नहीं ले रहे हो. Most of the IPOs are using mass psych and come with expensive pricing. Book to price generally more than 5 and some cases gone to 20. Is it advisable to subscribe such IPOs? We do analyze IPO. My request to you, go to our IPO section, look at whether we should subscribe to those IPOs or not. Sometimes company may justify because of the strong growth story. Sometimes they may not. So please follow our IPO section and that will give you some idea about whether you should go with that or not. कितने हुए? What are the AI stocks opportunity we have? I think AI stocks are only in the IT services space and they are doing very poorly at this point. I don't think we need to literally right now go And let me tell you, Rasid sir, AI itself is very evolving. There is nothing called first mover advantage. आज का जो AI है 5 साल के बाद AI है कुछ अलग ही फॉर्म में होगा. सो शुड यू गेट एक्साइटेड इन्वेस्ट? आंसर इज नो एट दिस पॉइंट. एक और एक सवाल ले लेते हैं बस जस्ट फॉर द सेक ऑफ दिस वन सो दैट यू नो वी कवर दैट. ओके. हाँ सॉरी. हाँ एक ओके आप मुझे भेज दो. अच्छा ओके ओके ओके. Your view on new product SIF launched by AMC. Arjun Kumar sir is saying it's a good product, provided you can understand the risk and the return. It's meant for the higher risk investors. Not many AMC has launched it to the best of my understanding. It's a product between the PMS and the mutual fund scheme. So if you understand your risk, please go ahead and buy. If you are not comfortable taking that kind of risk, please avoid. So I think we will conclude here in the interest of the time. I know there will be more questions. I'll be in front of you again on Wednesday with equity outlook. I'll try to cover some of the suggestions given in today's webinar in my Wednesday PPT. Good night. Take care. Have a once again happy Navratri. Good night.